Welcome back to the K2 Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Karen Kelly. Now, it's been a while since I've done a solo episode because I've had amazing guests on, and a lot of them women for the month of March, where we were celebrating Women's History Month. But I am excited to come on today and share a little bit or a topic that's, I would say, it's timeless, but I'm seeing a need for it now. And it really is a theme of slowing down in order to speed up. And I would say that I am definitely guilty of this, and I catch myself doing it quite often. So I'm by no means exempt from this, but I wanted to share, and this is in many areas of life that we can practice this. I don't think there's any area that couldn't benefit from this, but I'm just going to talk about three areas in particular as it relates to the sales environment where we can really slow down to ensure that when the time is right, once we've laid the proper foundation, that we can speed up. But the three areas are ourselves. So checking in with ourselves and our mindset. The second one is really if we're doing some form of a strategic account plan or account mapping. And the third one is in a discovery conversation. And so the first area, when we think about, how are we showing up, whether we are a sales leader showing up to our team, whether we are a sales professional or business owner, or showing up to our audience, our customers. And, this is they form a first impression of you in 7 seconds. So what are we giving off? What in a very commoditized world, when they've already sized us up as all the same, how can we be different? How can we really take the time to slow down and assess what are we getting into? I mean, we're qualifying them as much as they're qualifying us. And part of that is just really doing your inner work. And I think it always goes back to understanding your purpose, your why. Why are you doing this? What lights you up about this job, about this business you're running? And what's the legacy you want to leave behind? What motivates you? And really tap into that so that if there's anything that perhaps is bothering you, that's not sitting well with you, you can kind of start looking inward and tapping into it and saying, okay, what is this? Has my why shifted? Am I on social media too much? Am I comparing myself to other people? Like, if there's something negative going on, we got to look into it and find out what's contributing, really getting to the root cause. Otherwise, it's just going to fester. And we might temporarily solve it, but it's temporary because we're dealing with the symptom. But also, if there's something positive and we're checking in with ourselves and we're great and we're excited, we're happy and we're grateful and we're giving off great energy, that is wonderful. But we also need to understand, what are we doing that's contributing to this? Because like anything, we can't repeat it if we don't know what it is. But just taking time to slow down and really understand, what are you bringing to the table here? What energy, what perspective, what insights, what mindset? Is it defeatist? Is it a growth mindset? Because all this will allow you to take a really, you show up, you show up authentically yourself. But when you do that, you can observe the opportunity for what it is. You're not seeing things that aren't actually there. You're not trying to make an opportunity better than it actually is. You're seeing things at face value. And a lot of that is how you show up. What are you bringing to the table so that you are looking at things through a neutral lens versus rose-colored glasses? And that's the first area. So I'd say check in with yourself and really understand, how are you showing up? Are you jumping to the gates? Are you saying yes to everybody? Are you very reactive, or are you putting on the brakes a little bit and say, hang on, before I engage here, I need to do my own inner work. I need to check in with myself and really ensure that I am putting the best foot forward, because I got one chance to make a great first impression. So that's the first area. The second area is, account mapping. And really, so often I see people that are, in a territory, years in a territory, and it's just same old, same old. I deal with these departments, these personas, and it is what it is. And what I would say there is, if you want a different outcome, you need to be changing up the process. So just because those were the typical traditional buyers and the departments and the personas, can you not expand that? Can you not think outside of the box? And you've all heard of going deep, wide, and high. Well, how can you go wider? How can you gain further breadth? Are there different departments? Are there different potential players or influencers that might be a viable option, that might influence? And you might be right, you might be wrong, but you got to try, right? And I just think, don't just stick to the traditional approach. You got to think outside the box and look at who else could be a potential influencer, and really look at, beyond the person, beyond the title, like what matters to these people? Who is someone who's an innovator, who really is a trailblazer, wants to get behind you? Those are the people that you want to look at. And, what are they interested in? Where are they hanging out? Where can you find them? What could you say that would attract them? And really get intentional. Like, they're not going to just come to you with your hands up. So what do you have, or what initiative are you working on? Or what metric are they measured on that you can start sharing information on that will attract them to want to understand and be part of what it is you're doing? And if we're just reactive and we're quick and we're just trying to, pull anything across the line, it's very sloppy. It's going to continue to bring the profession of sales down, and our close rates will not move at all. And so I would say, if you can just slow down and really zoom out and look at, okay, who are the players? Who can we add to this from an influencer standpoint, from a decision maker standpoint? Also, do I have a champion? Like, do I have somebody working on the inside for me that is, betting on me, that's going to sell on my behalf when I'm out there? Do they have influence, or am I dealing with a coach? And so, as much as we can go deep, wide, and high, who can go internal? Who can we mold, and they can be a mobilizer for us to really sell for us when we're not there. And so, I would just say, if you can slow down and think strategically, but think outside the box, that allows you a greater chance of movement. So think about the person, what motivates them, what interests them, what would cause them to take a meeting with you to say yes. Why would they want to be part of this initiative? Because most people are tasked to be part of a committee, or, on the buying, on the purchase team, and they have competing priorities, competing budgets. So how can we take a more strategic approach and really look at, like, why would they join this? What could they say yes to? And if we're just so reactive and we're always doing the same thing and we're always looking at the same reasons, we're going to attract the same people. And I would also say, can you leverage your teammates, whether it's in your own department or other departments, and ask for introductions, understand what they're doing. Perhaps someone in a different region in the country has a similar opportunity, and they've brought in a speaker. They've done a trial. They've done something different or out of the box. And you just think, I wonder if that could work here. So I would just say, if you can slow down, really qualify, really understand what is it going to take. It's like a chess game. Get the board set up first. Really make sure you have the right players. You have something that's going to motivate them, that's sustainable, that's long-term, not this quick transactional, lure them in and they're out. Once you take the time to do that, and it will take time, but I can tell you, things speed up in a very controlled, predictable way after. But so often I see people just wanting the quick win, and they're just kind of throwing things at the wall, hoping it will stick. And I'm like, this is your brand. This is your reputation. And this is people's time and livelihood. So, oh my gosh, take the time and really slow down, zoom out, and just get creative, and don't be afraid to try things. This is where iteration comes in, and document it. Okay, in this department, this worked, this didn't work. And, what else can you try? And just lean into your curiosity. But if you want a different outcome, you got to be willing to try something new. Otherwise, we all know the definition of insanity. And the third area is in discovery. And I think, first of all, most people in discovery are pitching, which is not what we're there to do. We're there to discover, just totally uncover, ask questions, really quantify. First of all, get them to acknowledge that something's not right. There is something, a challenge here, or there's a goal that they're working towards achieving. If it is a problem, what is the impact of that? And, it's not one phase. We are always discovering, but we are not rushing here, because this is where you really connect with your audience and allow them to disarm and feel safe, that you can build trust with them, and they genuinely feel that you are there to help, that you have their best interests at heart. And when you're rushing and you're trying to ask these questions that are surface questions that feel like an interrogation that can be found on their website, A, you're annoying them because you've wasted their time, but B, you're not getting anywhere. And so when you've made them think and you ask an impactful question and they're like, wow, I never really thought that before. The only reason you were able to do that is because you took time. You slowed down and said, you know, if you think about like a chess game here, what do you want them to do? Like, what do you want that next step to be? So if you're strategic about this meeting, okay, what do I want the next step to be after this meeting? Okay, I got that. What information do I need from them to ensure that I get that next step? Okay, I got that. Okay. What questions do I need to be asking? And really get strategic and map out those questions and have, 3 or 4 questions. The only thing I would caution you is in the moment as you're asking those questions and they give you feedback, and again, you're practicing active listening and they're answering that. Don't just jump to the next question. If they've given you some good information and you need to go deeper, definitely stay on that thread. And that's what happens is people write down 3 questions and they're getting traction, they're getting deep, they're connecting with their audience, and then they shift to the second question. And it's like, slow down. Just go deep, really get to know them, connect with them, understand why this is happening. Is it systemic? Is it this person? Is there cultural things going on here? Like, really get to the root of it. So I would rather go very deep on one question. That's the only question they ask than to ask 3 surface questions. So again, we have to be very strategic with our discovery, understand what information we need out of them. What do we, without, cornering them and making them feel like you're manipulating them, but what information do you need here? And then what questions do I need to ask? And I would say, when you're slowing down here and really being intentional, also be mindful of our tonality, that we're coming at it from a curious standpoint. We're not cornering them. We're not interrogating them, because the minute they feel threatened, they feel cornered, they are going to shut down. They are going to probably tell you things that they think you want to hear. And it's going to end up in you chasing them because they never felt safe in the first place and they didn't feel that you had their best interests. So slowing down and really asking meaningful, thoughtful questions that are planned out, that will get you the information you need, but also that will teach them something about perhaps the way in which they are doing the job today. And maybe just by talking out loud or the question you ask, it might get them to think about, wow, that is a little bit redundant, or that is kind of comprehensive how long it takes us to do that. I never really thought about that. And so you're just getting an awakening from them and you're connecting with them, because bottom line is we are all commodities. So how can you differentiate yourself? And one real obvious way is to ask very insightful, thought-provoking questions. And the only way we can do that is if we can slow down. And so what I would just say in summary is, how can you not be so reactive? That you're really planned out, that before go into your meeting, whatever engagement you have, that you've checked in yourself, that you're aware, you're in control of your emotions, your feelings, your thought, and you slow down to do your inner work. And if you have a morning routine, amazing. What have you done to center yourself, to leave any of your baggage at home so you can see clearly and you know exactly what you're dealing with? And the next part is account mapping. If we're just mapping out the typical players that we always do, we are going to get the typical results. So this is where we need to change it up. We need to come at it from a different lens, go deep, wide, and high. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for referrals. Who else would feel left out if they weren't part of this meeting? And really understand the flow of your solution. So does it impact perhaps a department that you were unaware of? Is there any crossover that might invite you to have a conversation with that other department? And even if they're not directly impacted, they indirectly could still provide information or share something with you that allows you to go on another scent. But this is where we have to be a detective and really look at, okay, where have we not, where is there a stone here that's, not overturned here, that we can go look into. And the third and final area for this podcast is discovery. And this for me is a big, big, big one, because you're there to connect, build trust in order to uncover what actually is going on. And if what happens here most time is we rush, and we're just rushing to ask these surface questions, And then I get people call me and say, Karen, I'm sending emails and no one's getting back to me. What do I do? And I say, I'm sorry, it's not what you can do, it's what you should have done. And sometimes we've missed the mark and we're chasing them and they've ghosted us. And the reason is that we haven't taken the time to strategically think about what questions do we have? What problems do they have? Some they're aware of, some that they're not. What is the impact? What is the risk of not solving this problem? Okay, what is even, now it's up to 13 people making a buying decision. Do all 13 agree that this is the top three problem? That's a big one. So many times, and even in my own personal experience when I first started my career, I remember we were selling to a committee. Probably back then, I had, I'm going to say, 10 people, and we were, some of us were number one. Some of the decision makers and the influencers thought we were number one, but the majority had us down or 8 or 9. And then we get the message, you know what? Next capital, round, we'll put you on the list. And it's like you gotta get on that list, but you have to understand what's going on in the room. What is a compelling reason? How are you going to drive consensus? But how are you also going to understand individually what is motivating? What is driving these people? And you cannot understand that if you're just going into the meeting unprepared and at mock speed. We have to slow down. And we have to take this like a chess game and really look at the people. Forget the title. What motivates them? What lights them up? What interests them? What is going to get them to say yes or no? Who influences them? When they're backed in a corner, what do they do? Really get curious and understand their motives so that we can align to them and really increase the likelihood of us helping them and helping ourselves. So that was a short one, but again, in summary, I see this a lot, and hey, I struggle with it as well. The good thing is for me now, I can catch myself when I am speeding up, and I can usually get in front of it. But sometimes the damage is already done. So I would just say, how can you, in your daily interactions, how can you slow down in order to speed up? And I would just say, like, look at, do you have any triggers? Do you have any cues? Can you create a scorecard that says, look, I can't, it's like Monopoly. You can't collect until you pass go. Well, what is go? How can I slow myself down? How can I put guardrails out there so that I am stopping myself from moving forward too quickly? And the thing is, once you realize and see the benefits of slowing down and what information you were able to uncover, what questions you're able to ask, but also how you're able to connect. You can't rush building trust and connecting with somebody, especially in these competitive landscapes. And when you see that and you feel the benefits, you'll rely less on the scorecard, because you're going to say, like, this really works, and I'm dealing with a person here, and I have to, drive results through people, through emotion, through connection. It's not a widget. And I feel once you see the benefits of that, you are more likely to want to do it naturally. So until that happens, really look inward and say, what can I do to slow down in order to speed up? So hope you like that, and hope you put some of it into practice. If you have, would always love to celebrate your wins. Let us know what you've done. And thanks for listening, folks, and we'll see you next time.